So welcome along. We're back. We've missed a couple of weeks because we had Ollie's performance last week, and then it was just Kylie and I the week before. So we decided to, I think, Rod's
Yep,
thinking.
sounds right.
Yeah, I think it was the party for the person that we didn't know.
Yeah.
And so this week we're talking about respond with compassion. That Here to Stay says, model the compassion of Jesus in response to the needs of the world around us. So that idea of how do we enable young people to be responding to those situations and to, see the needs around them, see the powerless, see the weak, see all those in needs, and to actually do something, which might be them going along with parents, but also how can we engage them in thinking? So, the idea of, there's a family at church that's had a new baby, how can we provide a meal for them? And the natural thing is parents cook the meal and we take the kids as we drop it off. But maybe there's a conversation with the kids about what can we cook? How can we all cook together? Are there other things that we could do to support this family? So are there ways that you can think of that we do, or ways that we might, before I jump in, cheat and use Here to Stay suggestions?
Well, I guess one example that's prominent today, obviously for those involved in Jaffa for the last term, but today came out the response for the netballs for the school at Goodna. So I guess one there is bringing something to the kids' attention, making it that allowing them to understand what it means to be without that. And that's one of the things we forget, that say, they need balls, what does it matter? Let's raise some money. Whereas it was introduced as, could you imagine you not having it? And there was good reason to try and support it. And keeping examples of how we could respond to that. It wasn't just, this is how you had to respond. And I guess the other thing that Steph was drawing on there was, it's your personal response, not your parents. This is encouraging them to identify with it. And obviously there was a lot of help from parents, but the kids also contributed in that way. So that was one of the ways I was seeing into responding. The other, I guess, is just introducing it through prayer. The response doesn't necessarily have to be physical, but that is one of the ways that a lot of more teaching can be done, but at least making them aware that it's something that you can be concerned about, as opposed to saying, that was 10 people in a bus in Hunter Valley, long way away from me, doesn't matter. 100 people or hundreds of people in India, that doesn't matter. And, thousands of people in the Mediterranean, it doesn't matter. Bringing it to their attention, that does concern us in some way. And that's probably important, bringing it to the intention. Enabling, you mentioned, how do we enable them to respond? One is bringing it to their attention in a compassionate way in the start. I think that's important.
You can't respond to what you don't know about. So
don't know about.
And
if you don't, even if you do hear about it, not knowing that it is something appropriate to respond to. You haven't been taught that or whatever. Hopefully we have, but there'll be lots of people that would wipe that off and say, yep, I heard it, but I don't need to respond. Encourage that somehow.
Yes. And it builds in that habit and sense of, we look to the world outside. We look to see what's happening and think about prayer. It's not just, we focus on ourselves. So it was interesting. After the Jaffa service, one of the adults said having the pictures of the situations helped to focus him into the prayer and to do that. So sometimes it's thinking about how do we present, because yes, we might say, this is happening, but maybe some photos, chosen photos can be helpful. Like obviously, like when I thought, how do I do the war in Ukraine? It's like, we don't want too much damage. You don't want dead bodies and things, but I found a map of here's all the countries where there's some sort of war. So war,
Mm.
civil war, war against drugs. And it's like, that's probably a better image than. So yes, pick your images, but for children, images can
Yes.
often be important. So
Mm.
yeah.
That's a good minor segue into the fact that Here to Stay is not just for kids. Yeah, the
Absolutely.
adults responded,
Yes.
and to be aware that there's just as much response from them. Yep.
Yes. Yes.
In all these things.
Yes. Yes. To which I went, yes, have to think about that more. But of course, often someone else is leading the prayers of the people or intercessory prayers. So you don't get that ability to play. But yeah.
In Girls Brigade, we do Operation Reach Out, which has differing opinions, but we link it to a Girls Brigade in another country. So Friday night we did Africa. So we were looking at the African Girls Brigades. We were looking at a YouTube, which was so cute, but anyway, of the little kids that were so excited to go to school. Because if you go to school, you can retire. Pull up your socks and go to school. But it was, I'll have to show you Rich later. But the girls got into that because they saw and then enabled us to say, hey, you guys hate school. These kids are thriving and craving to get to school. So, and because they saw other Girls Brigaders in the same uniforms-ish, there was a link there as well.
Yes.
So it's like, this is how we're the same. This is how we're different. This is how we appreciate what we've got because we don't have that. White uniforms in dirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
That could make life fun and cleaning all that.
Mm.
Cool.
Mm.
Yeah. Awesome. Here I was thinking we were doing none of this again and we're coming up with ideas.
Yes, internal ideas, yes, which is good.
Yes, this is encouraging. The idea that I thought of that we sort of did but aren't doing now, and would work well, particularly in a family, is if you've got like sponsored children and getting the kids to write letters to those children and relating that way and helping them to see, hey, here's this child that is at school like you and all those sorts of things. I don't know. Rod, you've got and had sponsored children and Kylie's had.
Certainly do.
Yeah,
Sorry?
Kylie had
Oh, that's your name. Okay, we've had a few. The Boys Brigade seniors for a number of years had a young boy. I think he got older. He got as old as some of the leaders did because it just kept going on. Then we eventually stopped that one.
Yeah.
And didn't really pick that up, but that might be something they could do there. I was thinking, we did the similar for the Day Guild used to run one. I think the girls talked about one years ago, Kylie. I'm not sure whether that got picked up, but that idea of having someone about your age and then following them through in life, and you can have that relationship. But it became a little bit more with occasionally we'll write a letter to him, and then it just became a collecting money, and then it became mum and dad giving you the money to put in. So once the initial bit was over after many years, it became didn't fit the purpose. It obviously kept sponsoring him, but it didn't really fit the purpose of responding with compassion. It was more of I have to, so I will. But I was wondering whether some of the things like when we pick up a program with the garage sale, whether we should be looking at that much earlier. Yeah, even this next one in September, where it's only a few weeks away and we still haven't defined what we're sponsoring and how we're going about it. But if you just think about it, if we next March, if today, or at least after Christmas, we could say, we'll be looking at XYZ, and the various youth areas could be thinking about that. May not have to contribute to it, but be thinking about making use of that. So it's not just we're doing a garage sale. Oh, we raised some money. Oh, we got rid of it. But understanding where, why, and how. Some of the things might not suit what the kids want, but the last one, the homelessness and swags, you got the concept of camping. You might think it's fun, but you don't. All these bits we could have picked up were a bit slow. We needed to make those decisions much earlier. And make the decision, make everyone aware of it so they could all join in as they see appropriate. Some may not. Yep.
Could have even done sleep out on the basketball court, tennis courts.
Yes. Yep.
You know.
Yep. The night before.
Yeah, just to experience it and
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then it becomes that sense of we're not just giving money, but we're building some sort of real connection with the group. So a bit like, I forget what year we did it in, but the Micah project where we gave money, but then we had the ability to give food further along, at the church. So yeah, it becomes more than just, hey, we've earned some money and we've given it away, but there's something meaningful. And yes, again, be great if we can connect the young people with that. Great if we can connect with the whole church, because these things apply to everyone.
I love that idea. That's really cool.
Now we just got to do it instead of
Yes,
that's right. It's always the problem, isn't it?
And it might well be, just on that, might well be that only one of those garage sale things would be suitable and appropriate.
Yes.
For example, you're hardly going to get kids running around saying, "Oh, I want to sponsor dementia," but the homelessness is something they could have kicked in with.
Yes.
So yeah, we'd choose them and run as appropriate through the year.
Yep. And then maybe it's that case of sometimes it's we're connecting with this and we want to see the young people connect with it. Maybe sometimes the other times it's we're connecting with this and we want to see how the adults connect with this more than just here's an organisation we're chucking money at. But yes, that of course takes people and organisation and time. Some other suggestions that Here to Stay had is encourage families to engage in opportunities in their communities. So working on things like community Christmas lunches. So I know when we're in Newcastle, there was a family that went as a family each year to help serve the Christmas lunches out on the foreshore type thing to the homeless, stuff like that. Clean Up Australia, the Great Aussie Shave, Australia's biggest morning tea. So all those things that, in that sense, is more than just raising money, but being involved.
I'm laughing with Clean Up Australia.
You've got a story to share, have you?
Yep. With Clean Up Australia, we used to do that for many years when Telstra sponsored it. They still do, but in a big way sponsor it. But it had that issue that it was a Sunday morning, and a lot of people didn't like not going to church or getting an early church, whatever it might be. But it was an interesting activity, and there were times when after we got out of in a big way, I used to still meet at Whites Hill Reserve, and a number of the junior boys used to come. They'd go to that and then dash off to church in their grubby t-shirts, but they went to church, went to Sunday school, but they did represent their effort in Clean Up Australia. So that was good years ago. It, of course, clashes. It's always the weekend of Ignite or whatever it's called these days, the same first weekend in March. So it was always a busy weekend if you were doing it. Amplify and things. But that was a good way of getting people to do it. It just had to, it did become a personal thing. But if you were able to be there and say, I will be there, then others would be able to come along too. Organised by someone else, which is good.
And I mean, there's always the opportunity of saying, hey, on that day, we might not go in the morning when the other group are doing it, but we'll find an area and we'll do it in the afternoon, or I'm sure there's flexibility. Who knows? Maybe I'm just a radical. There'll still be places where you can clean up.
Come to my place.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. They talk about posting stories of kids responding in your local, national and international contexts. So how do we share some stories about other kids responding? The one that always sticks in my mind, one of the speakers at the Ignite Summit, or the Amplify Summit, which is for the leaders, was talking about his kids. They didn't have TV, and so they sat down after 9/11 with the kids to explain what had happened and stuff like that. And, what could we do? And the kids said, well, we could write to all the leaders of the world in countries in the world and try to make friends and stuff like that. And, our natural response is, well, that's not going to work. But the parents did, well, let's. And they sent all these letters and they met with a number of different world leaders. And one, they went over to the country, might have been somewhere like Bulgaria or somewhere, and met with the leader, and the kids gave them the key to the house. If you ever want to come and visit. And he actually did at one stage, came and visited their house. So it's part of our challenge is allowing the kids to come up with ideas that might seem stupid to us, but you never know, they might just work. So sometimes us adults need someone to kick us out of the box and go, yes, I can make a meal for someone. Boom. Yes, I can spend some money. Boom. Maybe there's something else. Wonderful ideas. We're going to take the next 2 weeks off because I think we'll be tired next Tuesday evening, and we'll be in. We
need someone to respond with compassion to us, will they?
That's right.
Next Tuesday night.
They can come and give us massages and all those sorts of things. So thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Rod. You can go off to your next thing. We can go off and see what our child is doing, and we'll catch you again soon. Bye, everybody.
That's good. Thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.